During this chapter, we're going to talk about the basics of cryptography. Now understand, this is only going to be a basic discussion, and it's really going to more relate on some of the basic cryptographic theory, some of the terms and concepts that you need to know in order to be a successful CEH. Now obviously, as a networking professional, or as a system administrator, or as a programmer, you probably have had experience with cryptography, so some of this stuff may be old hat to you. However, it's worth a review because you may see cryptography type questions on the exam. Also, we're going to discover how cryptography is being targeted by hackers and some of the ways that hackers may seek to break encryption schemes and get protected data. Now, cryptography is used in many different security applications in information technology, and cryptography actually supports a few of our goals that we have with information security. Confidentiality is one of those goals, and we can support confidentiality by encrypting data so that unauthorized people can't get access to it. Cryptography also supports integrity in that data can't be tampered with if it's encrypted, and we can use cryptography in the form of hashing to show if data has been tampered with or altered. Cryptography also supports non-repudiation in that people can't deny that they performed an action or sent an email, for example, if we're using the right kind of cryptographic methods, like public and private key technology. And also cryptography supports authenticity in that we can positively identify and trace back an action to someone, again, based upon things like public and private key technologies. Now, hackers really often want to break encrypted files and data to get access to them. Maybe it's to steal passwords, encrypted passwords. Maybe it's to break inside of an encryption scheme to get data out that they need. Hackers also seek to intercept and break into encrypted communications channels, things like SSH and SSL, for example, things that protect our encrypted data while it's being transmitted and received. Now, some examples of cryptography that you've probably seen before include encrypted files and encrypted disks, hashed passwords. Again, I mentioned public and private key technology and the secure communications channels. So cryptography is used very much so in IT, and again, it's a target of hackers because they want this data. Cryptography is basically the science of hiding information. In other words, protecting it, hiding it from unauthorized access. Cryptanalysis, on the other hand, is the science of trying to break that encryption, those methods that are used to hide information. And that's all encryption is. Encryption is the method of hiding information. It changes plain text in the form of human-readable data to ciphertext, meaning only a machine can read it, or at least it's not readable by human beings. Decryption is the opposite. It reverses this process and converts ciphertext back to plain text. Now, encryption uses some components called keys and algorithms, and in our next session we'll talk about what keys and algorithms really are and how they're used in encryption schemes. In general, there are two types of encryption that we'll talk about, symmetric and asymmetric, and they use different algorithms and methods, and we're going to discuss those throughout the rest of this course as well. There's also various cryptographic tools that we'll discuss that exist to do a wide variety of things, including encrypting data, decrypting data, and even analyzing encryption schemes for the purposes of cracking them. Now, over the next several sessions of this chapter, here are some things we're going to discuss, and you'll get an idea really of how cryptography works from its basic sense and some of the terms and concepts associated with cryptography. Now again, you've probably seen some of this before, so some of it may be a review, and you may see some simple questions about cryptography on the exam, so it's worth a review for that reason as well. So some of the things we'll talk about include algorithms and keys. We'll tell you what they are and how encryption uses them. We'll also discuss symmetric and asymmetric encryption. A lot of people don't understand what the differences between those are. And after we talk about asymmetric encryption, we'll carry it a little bit further and talk about public and private keys and how those are used in a PKI infrastructure and how you can get things like digital signatures out of them. We'll also discuss hashing algorithms, things like MD5 and SHA-1 and so forth, and how those are used to protect integrity of data, how they're used in digital signatures, and how they're used to protect passwords. We'll talk about things like encryption of data at rest and data in transit, whether data is stored or being transmitted and received. And that includes a discussion of secure algorithms such as SSH and SSL, which are used to protect data in transit. We'll also discuss some of the different crypto attacks that a hacker may use to attack cryptographic and encrypted data. We'll also look at crypto tools that they could use. And of course, finally, we'll look at how to mitigate those crypto attacks. So we've got a lot to cover over the next several sessions. Unfortunately, some of this may get a little boring because it is theory. And there will be some demonstrations of some of the cryptographic tools. But try to bear with me and learn some of the basics about cryptography, and you'll be glad that you did for the exam.